turn your staircase into a piano, build your own robots, use a banana to play a video game? It must be Arduino Night. Okay, so could everyone just introduce yourselves to our viewers and tell us a bit about your backgrounds with Arduinos?
Cool. Hi, I'm Robin Baumgarten, and I'm an independent game developer. I mostly make mobile phone games and now work with Unity. My background is in artificial intelligence research, and now I've also made a custom controller, which is like a first for me now, but I'm having a blast, so it's quite cool.
My name is Alan Zucconi and I'm an independent developer, and I'm currently working on several projects. One of these is called Still Time and is a game about time travel and temporal physics, and it's going to be released on PS Vita and PS4 probably later next year. Still don't know exactly when. And I'm also working on a gravity puzzle called Orbitalis that is going to be presented at RESD this month, and also a one of BAFTA Indie Games Arcade, I think next of this week, so waiting for that. With Robin, we're also going to GDC San Francisco to show some of our controller we are working on.
My name's Darren Lloyd-Gent. I'm a senior lecturer in games design and development at the University of Greenwich. I first started using Arduinos because we started using them on a course which started January last year, so I've only really been using Arduinos for about a year.
Thank you. Could you just quickly summarize what each of you discussed today for our viewers?
We start Arduino evening with one of my talk in which I introduce what Arduino is, why you can buy one, why you shouldn't buy one, and we started doing a small induction on how to use it and how not to use it, and how it's really easy to break some stuff sometimes. And at the end, basically, what we show is how to use a knob to change the intensity of LED light, and we showed that basically was as far as you go in Arduino, because just with that knowledge you can basically build whatever you want, and it's as easy as that.
Cool, yeah, and then we followed on with basically looking at how we can interface the Arduino with Unity, and I looked at 3 different methods to do that. There was one is a serial communication, which is the easiest, and then 2 others, which are joystick and MIDI controls, which require a certain special type of Arduino, which is called the Teensy. And how easy it actually is with those components to interface to a game engine.
What I demonstrated was a project which I started on, mainly for teaching, but it's kind of expanded from that and hopefully should be shown at Maker Faire in Newcastle at the end of April. Is basically a kind of box which reacts to tapping, to keyboard input, but it also uses projection onto the box, so it's projecting the virtual space onto the real space.
Thank you. Alan, could you just quickly explain what an Arduino is?
Okay. So basically, Arduino is a microcontroller. That means that it's like a small computer, and as a computer, you can get some input and some output, and you can upload your own arbitrary program on that, and this will decide how to get the input and how to do with the output. So, for example, how to use sliders or knobs or buttons or other type of controllers, and how to do, for example, change the colors of lights or displays, or activating motors or stuff like that. So basically, you're not limited to also that. Every possible device you can attach to Arduino, you can actually control it.
Thank you. So, where did your interests in Arduino start?
Okay, so I think my interest started when we, together with my sister, when I was looking at how to basically interact with physical objects. And my sister is an interactive designer, and she's for a project at uni, she was looking into how to actually make things move. And from there, we quickly discovered the Arduino and how easy it is to use it. And yeah, so since then, I've done several projects with Arduino, and it was quite nice.
I started using Arduino at Imperial College as part of my one of my projects because basically before doing game I was working in neurotechnology, and we had the need to having experiments running for a very long time overnight or over the course of several weeks. So we needed a way to automate those experiments, and Arduino has been probably the easiest way of doing that. Just with a few lines of code, and we can control motors, and cameras, and do all the things. And I've been really amazed by the fact that as a computer scientist, I was always really worried and concerned about starting working with hardware. And instead, as soon as I tried Arduino, I realized how easy it was. And I really regret not having started earlier. Probably, this worry prevented me from using Arduino. Now I'm a little bit regretting about it.
I started because we started teaching and using Arduinos in one of our courses, and it was my colleague Jasmine Lewis who introduced me to the Arduino. So I had to learn all about it to be able to teach it. And when I first got an LED moving backwards and forwards, and kind of realised that I had this power to create anything I wanted, it just spiraled out of control. So I've been using it for a year now, and I've been working on several projects which use the Arduino. So it became a kind of necessity out of teaching something and then loving the thing I was teaching, kind of like games. Like games, I can make anything I want in a virtual space, and with the Arduino I can make anything I want in the physical space. So yeah, that's why I got into it.
So where do you all see the future of Arduino going?
So I think it's a very quickly growing sector of basically home entertainment, really. I mean, there is so much technology these days in our house, which starts with vacuum robots and so on. And I think especially kids will be more and more interested in seeing how that works and trying it for themselves. And the Arduino provides exactly that. So you can actually use the Arduino with like little motors or sensors to make your own little robots or your own interactive projects. And I think this is the main area where the biggest potential lies for Arduino.
If you look at the history of Arduino and how it's been developed, you can see that it's really getting more powerful and faster. But I think that that's not really the key point of the future of Arduino. I think that what is really important is the fact that more and more people are starting using it. This means that more people are starting to get into, for example, computer science or programming or electronic, just because they can use Arduino. And in a way, this lower the entry barrier for this type of hardware technology. And I think it's really important because for me, what Arduino really changes is the fact that people are getting more confident using this technology, and I started to learn more. And learning this fun started to become really fun. And also, for example, when you play a game, you might have achievements, but you don't really achieve anything except that game. While, if you play with Arduino and you start building stuff, you can actually build something that works. And I think that's the biggest achievement that one can get. And if we manage to teach to children that how rewarding that is, maybe they will be much more interested in learning and creating new technologies.
I mean, it's going to be divergent. As Robin said, people started using it for prototyping, so rapid prototyping of products, and then sending that off to be developed into a proper, taking the Atmel chip out of the Arduino and then embedding it properly into the device. But again, also for education. At the BET show last month, I saw 7 and 8-year-old kids using the Arduino with LED matrices and creating sprites. So that they were learning how computer programming and they were learning electronics in the same time in this really cool and fun way. And if I had that when I was a kid, then I wouldn't have got the E in electronics that I did in GCSE. So I think that's where the potential lies. It's a good gateway for people to be able to enter this world, which for me just never seemed possible until I found the Arduino.
Do you see Arduino having a mainstream place alongside games?
So actually, I don't think there will be a huge mainstream impact, as in mainstream meaning like everyone will have it in their homes and they don't care about it. It's just like an everyday object. I rather think it's going to be like a small toy which everyone has an individual relationship with. So it's like a prototyping thing. So you use it, you build something stupid, sometimes not so stupid, but then it's I think the heart of Arduino is always in that stage of doing something small and personal, not in something with a huge mainstream focus, I think.
For example, if you have a look at some of the big companies and they want to prototype new devices, what they usually do is using Arduino or some similar technologies to actually do a quick prototype. And once they finalize their design, they actually ship it to China and ask to create it low cost. So I think that in this sense, Arduino is not going to be is not going to take games in the traditional sense. Also because, there are cheaper alternatives, and sometimes if you want to do a mass production of a game controller or a game, it's easier to create your ad hoc technology and ad hoc things. But Arduino is a good way to start. But what I think is quite relevant is that, for example, GDC this year has a new exhibition called Alt Control GDC, that one in which me and Robin are actually going to show our controllers, and it's dedicated to custom devices and alternative, bizarre way of controlling games. And I think that the fact that such a big conference as GDC moved from software to something that is much more hardware means that there is something ongoing, means there is a change, and that people are more willing to try new experiences. So I think that in this sense, it's nice to experiment and find a new direction, but I don't really think that it will be used massively, to mass production of game controllers.
Yeah, no, as well. Geeks will love it. I'm a geek and I love it. I think when people, if they're inclined to make things, then that's where it will catch on. But I don't think the majority of people have the inclination to do that. But for teaching, for learning, for self-achievement, it will catch on with those people who enjoy doing that. I guess if you look at it in terms of hobby and crafts, then you get people who make wicker baskets, you'll get people who are using Arduinos, and I think it will be that niche area.
Okay, and lastly, what advice would you give to anyone who is wishing to start tinkering with Arduinos?
Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. So it's very, very easy to start, and I think Alan had the typical experience in that at first you're very scared of it and then you try it, but and you see it's fairly easy in the end. So, but it's super cheap to start. I think it's under £100. You can get a really nice kit to make anything you want, really, and it's good for that. Or you can also, if you want to do something more serious, like home automation is a nice field of things you can do with it. You can have light switches going on and off depending on which room you are. You can control the heating. There's a lot of extensions for Arduino which basically can control everything. So it's an interesting field to get started in, and as we've basically told everyone today, it's super easy to get started. So you just take a plunge.
Well, I think I won't define myself an expert of Arduino, and probably no one here is an expert of Arduino, but that's the good news, that you don't need to be an expert to use Arduino. And I think this is the main message I would like people to take home from this Arduino evening. The fact that you don't need any particular skill in programming, because it's really easy. You don't need any particular skill in electronics, because it's all easy. And you just need to go on internet and look on YouTube and a couple of videos, and you will see really like children playing with Arduino and teaching you on their own YouTube channel how to use it. And I think that's really should motivate you to say, okay, if a 7-year-old child can do it, I can do it as well. And that's my advice for people who want themselves to learn Arduino and play with that. And I think that something more important is to teach that Arduino exists to people who doesn't know it exists. For example, people in school. I think I remember, for example, I studied computer science. It wasn't always very funny, and I think that's something really bad, because now that I can play and I know what to do and I know what I can do, I know how fun it is and how fun it can be. But sometimes, especially like mathematics, those type of subjects are really boring, and I think they're boring not because they're boring themselves, but because they're not taught in the right way. And you can show how beautiful mathematics can be, and you can show how beautiful computer science can be. But sometimes if you just do equation on a whiteboard, it doesn't really work. You have to show them. You have to show that you can do and what you can't do. And I think if teachers and people are slowly going to understand that, I think their work will be actually easier, because they will have people really interested into what they're doing, and they will actually do their own homework and the research themselves. And I think that's really important for the next generation.
I would just say to people, just do it. I bought my first kit, which had a whole bunch of components for about 35 quid from eBay. eBay is a great place to get loads of cheap stuff. Don't buy from China. It's a bad thing to do. But I mean, that's it. It's to paraphrase Scroobius Pip. There's the internet is free education. There's all of this stuff out there which you can go and learn. And the thing is that once you kind of get these things working, there's such an achievement. It drives you on. I've sunk hundreds of pounds now into components just for the sheer hell of it. I've decided I just got the components to make the time circuits from the DeLorean and Back to the Future, and I'm going to make it just because I can. Because that's it. So once you start, prepared to lose lots of money and lots of time, but get a good sense of achievement and self-worth.
Thank you guys very much. I think one thing we've learned from today is that the potential of Arduino is huge, and hopefully we can see more of it in the future. Just want to take a minute to say thank you guys for taking the time out to speak to us today, and good luck to Alan and Robin for GDC in a couple of weeks.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you guys very much.